Hey, hello. Hello, everyone.
Happy Towel Day!
Hey. Yeah, and I hope the Towel Fairy brought you everything you asked for. Not that that makes any sense whatsoever. And once again, I've just looked at OBS. Streamlabs. The Streamlabs bot is doing that ridiculous thing where it's posting twice.
Just wants to make sure it really gets the messages out there.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not posting twice in chat, it's just doing it on screen. I mean, I know why it is, I just don't know how to stop it. Unless, wait, I've actually got Streamlabs open. What if I switch the bot off for Twitch? Ah. Spoonie's got a towel with her. Has everyone else got their towel with them?
I have a bathrobe. Does that count?
It's as near as damn it, I guess. But
yeah.
The question is, though, Karma, do you know where your towel is? That's
it's
important.
Hanging somewhere in my bathroom. So,
there we
go.
There we go. All right, we shall find out shortly whether or not I've managed to stop the bot from double posting now, because I've just switched the bot off for for Twitch. Someone please, God, remind me to switch it back on.
Switch it back on.
Thanks, Karma. Thanks for reminding me. I'll do that right away. Wait a second.
Oops.
So, yeah.
Where did YouTube go?
So, yes, it's Towel Day. Obviously, those of you who watch my channel a lot will know what that is by now, as I've done something for Towel Day every year for the last 3 years?
Wow.
4 years, I think. I've had a special video out for Towel Day. Well, last year I didn't have a video out. I did a stream. I did the Starship Titanic stream over on Twitch, which is still available on this here channel. I did a complete playthrough of the 1998 game Starship Titanic, which, yes, if you the more keen-eared of you will be able to hear that I do have the medley of music from that playing underneath this stream. I couldn't think of anything massively appropriate to put under this stream, and I found that medley on my hard drive, so I was like, oh, I'll swap it out then.
It works.
I know. So what have I got planned for tonight's stream? Well, it's the usual Pubstream shenanigans. We're going to have a look at a few Towel Day related things for a start. I wish I'd have pulled them up before the stream, but give me a second. Give me a moment or two and I will go and find them late in a bit. A couple of previous big celebrations. Like there was I think it was a cosmonaut a couple of years ago who did a live streamed reading from Hitchhiker's Guide from the International Space Station. She was all floating around and stuff. Incredible threats.
Wow.
Got his towel handy. Great. I've also got a couple of rarities, well, rare interviews with Douglas Adams that we can watch on stream. As well as just generally discussing life, the universe, and all things Douglas Adams. So, you've read one of the books, haven't you? You've certainly read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes, I have. A few times, actually. And it gets weirder every time I read it.
How did you discover it then, Karma?
It was actually required reading when I was, I believe, in the 7th grade. So, yeah, we had to read that for school.
Well, if only we had a similar thing in this country instead of Mice and Men and... well, yeah, of Mice and Men, I had to read a lot of Shakespeare. Ugh.
Oh yeah, Shakespeare.
And
That's
because we had the cool English teacher, and as oxymoronic as that may sound, but we had the cool English teacher when I was doing GCSE English, we read Frankenstein.
Right.
which
Not
wasn't
bad.
I remember her telling me that it wasn't a specifically curriculum set text. She had to wrangle permission to cover that for us. But it worked out. I've read Frankenstein, and I really enjoy it, actually. It's a really good book.
See what happens when teachers don't do what they're told. Kids discover new things.
I know, right? But, so, yeah, it was required reading for you, was it? That's...
Yes,
We
we
really
read it. Well, what happened was we read it in class together. You know, it'd be okay, read chapters 1 through 5. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. That sort of thing.
Ah.
So we really went step by step through it together, and it was. I can't even tell you what we even discussed, because how do you really. What are we supposed to get from this? What do you.
Yeah.
What?
It's a strange book, because to study it the way you would study books like that at school, there's nothing really in there to sort of, you're not going to be examining it for, a whole lot of symbolism, are you?
No.
It's very straight down the line. What you read is what you get. It's just what you get is this fantastically bizarre story. I mean, there is some bits of symbolism in there and stuff like that. Like, well,
what I do remember something like you know how in the beginning Arthur Dent is laying down protecting his home, and then Ford comes over and says they're oh, we gotta go, and Dent's like, no, they're gonna destroy my home. How'd you know? Like referring to the planet, not the house.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the message too. The Earth is our home. We need to take care of it.
Well, yeah. And it was no secret that Douglas Adams was massively into conservation, at least of animals. His work for the Save the Rhino Foundation alone. In fact, there's quite a cool story about the Pink Floyd album, The Division Bell. Right?
Yes.
Douglas Adams was good friends with Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd, right? So, when he was struggling to come up with a title for The Division Bell, and at a dinner party, he asked Douglas, have you got any ideas? You're a writer. You help me out here, pal. And Douglas goes, all right, but I'll only tell you if you write... I can't remember how much the check was for, but it was a substantial amount. Write a check and donate it to the Save the Rhino Foundation. Right? So he does. Mm-hmm. He did. And he went, the title's in your lyrics already. It's in the song High Hopes. It's just The Division Bell.
Yeah, Douglas Adams, very unique style of writing, and it's one of those that a lot of people have tried to imitate but can't quite get right.
Yeah.
You get close, and I think really Stanley Parable is an example of that. It's just like, what the hell is this? And that's kind of how I feel whenever I'm reading anything by Douglas Adams, is just, what the hell is this? Which isn't a bad thing. It's very entertaining always.
Yeah.
But, it's prepare for confusion.
And, well, I was just about to ask. So, obviously, you've read, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but have you read any of his other books? Have you read any of the other Hitchhiker's pantheon of books? Or
I did start to read Restaurant at the End of the Universe,
right.
But I don't know what happened to the book. I probably lost it in a move because I no longer possess it. And I have also read Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Yes, that came to mind a minute ago when you said that it's quite confusing, because I've read the first Dirk Gently book. I've had both. I've had a copy of both for fucking years, and I've only read the first one, but it's quite confusing. It is a really confusing novel.
And I tried to start reading the second one, and I'm just like,
apparently that's even worse.
Yeah, it is even worse because I only got a couple
Not
chapters in where I'm like,
not worse
okay,
as
I'm
in
gonna try
bad.
again
Yeah.
later.
Just for
But more
clarification,
confusing.
for anyone watching, not worse as in bad, but I mean it's even more confusing from what I
Hmm.
understand. And for the first book, I actually didn't fully get what was going on in the story until I heard the radio adaptation from a few years ago with Harry Enfield as Dirk,
Yeah.
and I've heard the second series of that as well. And even the radio adaptation of that, I still couldn't tell you what it was about or what happens in it. I just know it.
Well,
I just know it's got quite a few funny lines and a few funny bits.
I do know there's a sofa stuck somewhere.
Yes, yes.
Forever. It is perpetually stuck there. Okay. But would you like me to read the excerpt about towels, or would you like to read it? Because I have it here, I can copy and
Well,
paste.
do you know what? There's so much of me reading stuff like that on this channel. It'd be nice to get another voice. Go for it, Karma.
Very well. Towel, it says, is about the most massively useful thing an interstellar hitchhiker can have. Partly, it has great practical value. You can wrap it around you for warmth as you bound across the cold moons of Jaglin Beta. You can lie on it in the brilliant marble sanded beaches of Centranginus 5, inhaling the heady sea vapors. You can sleep under it beneath the stars which shine so redly on the desert world of Rafoon. Use it to sail a mini raft down the slow, heavy river Moth. Wet it for use in hand-to-hand combat. Wrap it round your head to ward off noxious fumes or avoid the gaze of the ravenous bug-bladder beast of Tral. Such a mind-bogglingly stupid animal, it assumes that if you can't see it, it can't see you. Daft as a brush, but very, very ravenous. You can wave your towel in emergencies as a distress signal, and of course, dry yourself off with it, if it still seems to be clean enough. More importantly, a towel has immense psychological value. For some reason, if a strag, a non-hitchhiker, discovers that a hitchhiker has his towel with him, he will automatically assume that he is also in possession of a toothbrush, face flannel, soap, tin of biscuits, flask, compass, map, ball of string, gnat spray, wet weather gear, spacesuit, etc., etc. Furthermore, the strag will then happily lend the hitchhiker any of these or a dozen other items that the hitchhiker might accidentally have lost. What the strag will think is that any man who can hitch the length and breadth of the galaxy, rough it, slum it, struggle against terrible odds, win through, and still knows where his towel is clearly a man to be reckoned with.
Nice, nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's. Do you know what? As well, you literally sailed through the term "slow, heavy river moth." Now, I don't know whether it's because in my old age I'm developing a slight speech impediment or something, but every time I've had to record that line, which has been a couple of times for various things, that's always been a stumbling point for me. I've always tripped over it several times.
Oh, I've got all the planets here. Jaglin Beta was a little messed up because Jaglin and Beta are on two separate lines. So I instantly thought, oh, the planet Jaglin. Oh, Jaglin Beta. Yeah, we don't want to confuse it with Jaglin Alpha.
Yeah. Yeah, no, seriously, even the video I premiered today, the trading card set video, the bit where I have to say slow, heavy river moth. Even then, I could still hear it in the final video where I'm very clearly going slow, heavy. Just say it.
Slow, heavy. River Moth.
River moth. That's the part of it that makes me stumble. River moth. But yeah, so
Somewhere out there, there's a woman called River Moth.
and she married the doctor, and then met him.
Maybe.
But yeah, So yeah, that was a great reading. Thank you very much for that, Karma.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Incidentally, for like in terms of like readings and extracts from the guide, I did intend to have this video ready for today, but one of the big new additions I want to make to it.
Unfortunately, there's no Google Doodle for today.
Oh, no, there's a YouTube.
Well, there
one.
is,
Yeah.
but okay. There is a Google Doodle, obviously, but not for Towel Day.
Well, yeah.
This year. Sorry, I interrupted you.
But yeah. So that's those kind of shorter extracty type things are what I want to do in the future, because I got asked again earlier this week, where's part 2 of the I did the reading of the first 3 chapters in total.
Yeah.
And then I've been saying for years, yes, I will do the rest, but I've decided now that I'm just going to concentrate on just doing shorter extracts from it. It's simpler to do, and I'll get more content out at a much more reasonable and faster pace.
I mean, yeah.
But Doggy's got the complete collection special edition with gold. Oh, I think I know the version you're talking about. I think I know the version you're talking about. Yeah, that looks quite nice. I mean, the version I've got, it's the. I used to have the complete. It was called the commemorative edition. They re-released all 5 of the books with the original covers shortly after Douglas passed away. I used to have the full set of those, but as is kind of weird with my life and my history with this series of books, is I've bought them more times than I think any other book I own and any other book I've ever read. I currently have 3 copies of the actual full first novel. I've got the one that's in the set with all 5. I've also got the original illustrated version of the book.
Wow.
Which is this big, huge digital art illustrated version of it. And then I got the version of it they released, I think last year this came out. Let me check, 'cause it's right here. I always have a copy nearby. I think it came out last year.
Incredible threat. I seriously doubt the people who are wokeifying everything are cool.
Well,
if anything, they are anti-cool. Because it's not inclusive.
That's true.
Being cool isn't inclusive.
That's true. But yeah, it was last year. I've just checked. I've got that they brought out for the 40. Well, it was supposed to be for the 42nd anniversary of. No, it was the 42nd anniversary of the original novel, because the original novel came out in 1979, and obviously last year was the 42nd anniversary.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So yeah, they did a brand new illustrated version of it, and it's quite nice actually. I mean, somehow, it just must be a print. It just must be the way it's printed, but somehow it's much, much, much thicker than. Well, I'm just looking at it now and comparing it. It takes up the same space. It's as thick as the first 2 novels is in the other set I've got, which is weird.
Yeah, it's got to be the paper. They must have used
Yeah.
heavier paper.
But what about any of his non-fiction stuff? Have you ever sort of looked into that? Because he did a book, Last Chance to See, which is something I think you'd actually really enjoy. He goes on a round the world trip with I nearly said exhibitionist then. I don't know what I meant. Conservationalist called Mark Carwadine. And he shows him all these various endangered species. And the book's all about the adventures that they went on all over the world looking for these rare, almost extinct species.
I have not read any of his nonfiction. So, yeah, I definitely have to look into some of that.
There's quite a funny story because they did a radio series. They did like a radio documentary series about this as well, and this is in there as well as like recounted in the book as well. But they went looking for the Yangtze River dolphins as well, right? Which they didn't realise because of the amount of pollution in the Yangtze River, right, have gone almost completely blind.
Wow.
Right. So they realised they wouldn't be able to get any like decent footage of these dolphins. So they wanted to see if they could capture the sound the dolphins make underwater. However, they didn't have the right equipment to record underwater. So what there's this whole section of the documentary and in the book as well where they're trying to procure actual condoms to put over their microphone to drop it into the river.
Hey, that's resourceful.
And just stories of them just going into shops, like 3 sort of relatively big-ish men going into a shop looking to buy condoms and the weird looks they were getting.
You got a problem? I did not know this. He has an asteroid named after him.
Yeah.
And Arthur Dent.
Yeah.
Damn, 2592 for Douglas Adams.
Oh.
Wow. Oh, no, 5. 2 days before Adams died, the Minor Planet Center announced the naming of asteroid 18610 Arthur Dent. Wow.
Yeah. I can't think of any other asteroids or celestial bodies that are named after fictional characters.
No.
probably is.
I do know when, what the hell was the guy's name on Star Trek who played Scotty?
James Doohan.
Yes, I know some of his ashes were brought into space.
Yes, that's right. And
It doesn't count, though, doesn't
Jim Didrikson says yes, that's right. They made a sequel series with Stephen Fry 20 years later after that, didn't they? I'm just trying to think as well. There was also Hitchhiker's Guide to the Future, which was a series he did just before like the turn of the millennium, looking at the way technology is changing different aspects of our lives. That's really interesting. You can get that on Audible now as well. They've released that series officially on Audible.
Didn't they? Was he a writer or something for Starship Titanic?
Well, Douglas Adams, yeah, he created it. He didn't write the book. It was Terry Jones from Monty Python who wrote the novel of it. But
Okay.
because Starship Titanic, it's based off a the whole concept for Starship Titanic he came up with for the book Life, the Universe, and Everything. It was a ship that it was a ship that just spontaneously ceased to exist straight after its launch. And then years later, he designed a video game based around that concept and got Terry Jones to write a novel based on the video game. And then just last year, actually, just before New Year's Eve, just gone, just before New Year, just gone, they did a radio adaptation starring Michael Palin.
It's hard to believe that he had such a cultural impact with, well, pretty much really just hitchhikers.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously he did a lot more, but that's really, I guess, what he's known best for, and it's everywhere.
He did reach a point, actually, where he was trying to sort of... I mean, this is how we got Dirk Gently. He was trying to sort of throw off the shackles of hitchhikers, because he was starting to get sick of being asked, when's the next Hitchhiker's book out? And, He wanted to be known
See,
as more than just the Hitchhiker's guy.
I think that's really kind of the curse when you're involved in science fiction, is they associate you with really your science fiction works. You know, whatever you did. It's kind of like, again, I'm sorry to bring up Star Trek, but it's like, how many decades have those actors been talking about these characters they played years and years and years ago? It's just one of those weird things where it's like science fiction tends to get those really diehard fans most of the time, and they don't let go. They don't want to move on. It's like,
Well, yeah,
look, it's Spock. I am not Spock. I'm Leonard Nimoy. Damn it.
we've discussed my misgivings over science fiction fans in general in the past, and yeah, as much as it's kind of weird because I wouldn't class myself as a sci-fi fan. I wouldn't class myself as a sci-fi nerd, but when I think about it, Hitchhikers, Red Dwarf, X-Files, kind of to a degree. Well, I mean, I love the X-Files. I mean, kind of the X-Files classes as science fiction to a degree. Doctor Who. It's like, oh, maybe I am a science fiction fan then.
Maybe. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I think, you know, where it gets bad is when you really associate those people with that one specific thing. And yes, Leonard Nimoy was a photographer.
Ah. Now that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
He was a spoctographer, was he?
He was indeed.
But, yep, sort of, I mentioned Doctor Who a minute ago, and that brings us on to another aspect of Douglas Adams's life and career. Actually, he was technically he was what we would now consider as the showrunner for Doctor Who for a season as well. Yeah. And he also wrote. Well, he ghost wrote one of the accidentally, by the way, most popular. Not one of, the most popular and highest rated. I think it got the most viewers of any Doctor Who episode of the classic era.
Wow. Well, good on him.
And it was all because ITV was on strike at the time. So there was nothing else on.
Hooray! Winners by default! It's us or nothing! Woo!
Oh, cheers, Credible. I'll check those out later. Yeah, City of Death was the most viewed of all the classic Doctor Who serials. And that's just because ITV was on strike.
You know what? It was also a great way to show that he can do other things besides Hitchhikers. Huh. So I guess that's also a blessing. I mean, of course it's a blessing. Everybody's watching his stuff. Ha-ha.
The thing is that
victory.
That was timed. That was timed at such a point where Hitchhikers was still quite a relatively cultish thing.
Mm.
And then when he was running Doctor Who, he was writing Hitchhikers at the same time.
Yeah.
So kind of that period, it was before Hitchhikers became the Douglas Adams thing. But yeah.
You know, all this talk about he's done this, done that, but has he ever done The Simpsons? You're not really a somebody until you've been on The Simpsons.
No, but there have been references to Hitchhikers in The Simpsons. I'm sure Marvin appeared in the background in an episode, and there was the Sharda TV. Yes, that's right. Yes, it was going to be the same season that City of Death was written for, which he was never credited on screen for that. So the reason was, yes, that was the season he was running. That was the season he was running. The BBC had like strict rules on like executive producers or producers writing for the show, because this was in the UK in the like 70s and 80s when unions pretty much ran companies, right?
Yep.
So there was a lot of talk of like stories and talk of like demarcation and things like that, where there was one story. This is like off tangent slightly, but there was a story Nicola Byron, who played Perry in Doctor Who, told, where they were filming an episode of Doctor Who, right? And there was a chair or something that wasn't quite in place on the camera. And she got up to move it and she got yelled at.
For moving a chair?
Yes, because they have a specific guy whose job it is to move props on the set.
Oh my god. Nope, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Yep, that's beyond your job description. How dare you?
There's one episode, and I know this for fact, there's one episode in the Colin Baker era where you can quite clearly see a painter's stepladder. It's right bang middle of the shot as well.
Can't move it.
But no one could move it, yeah. No one was allowed to move it out of shot, so they just had to film it.
Somebody go over there and trip on that thing and make it fall over until it's out of frame, thanks.
But yeah, so like I was saying, like Jim reminded me, Sharda was going to be the last story, the last serial of that series, and there was a strike that rolled on for much longer than they had time to wait for to remount filming it, so it just got abandoned.
Yeah, and with the lousy quality of television these days, some say the strike is still ongoing.
Yeah. But it wasn't until, actually, a couple of years ago, when the BBC actually went ahead and finished Sharda with animation, filling in all the bits that never got filmed. And they got a lot of, if not all of, the cast of that story back in to record it, as well as filming a nice little ending or coda with Tom Baker as he is today. Well, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
As the Doctor.
Still alive?
Yeah. Yeah, he's still alive. He's in his 90s now, Tom Baker.
Oh, wow.
He's still doing Doctor Who as well. He does the Big Finish audios.
I did not know that. Wow. All right. Go Tommy.
I know. But, so, like I say, I promise we've got like a few random rarities and stuff like that. So I'm going to show this on the stream, Karma. So if you want to mute and deafen to watch it on the stream, or
that's all right.
I'm just going to pull this up. This is an interview with Douglas, and I've stupidly not labelled it. This, of course, this is with thanks to the wonderful people over on the Hitchhikers Discord that I'm on, who gave me access over a year ago. Gave me access to this huge archive of Hitchhikers and Douglas Adams related stuff. I'm just going to set this up. Right, it's an interview with Terry Wogan. It is about 10 minutes long, but I will occasionally pause it and we'll have a chat. I just thought it'd be interesting to show. Right, I've got to work out which one of these I need to use now. What wasn't it? Yes. No, it was Game Capture for videos. Right. Ah, yes. It's not going to fit perfectly on my little window, but oh well. So, here we go.
Now, the book was very successful. Made an enormous amount of money. I'm told so. Yes, I'm not quite certain where I put it, but yes.
Now, there are lots of people in the BBC extremely envious of you. This place is a hotbed of envy, of course. Who, first of all, science fiction. It's not something that... I suppose you were writing Doctor Who at the time. Is that how it occurred?
Well, no, that was coincidence, actually. I never actually thought of myself as a science fiction writer. I thought myself primarily a comedy writer, and I became a science fiction writer simply because I exaggerated so much. So in the story of Hitchhiker, it starts off with Arthur Dent. His house gets demolished.
That's right.
To make way for a new hyperspace bypass. And I was really looking for a way of, what do you do after that? Well, the Earth gets demolished. At that point, you're stuck with science fiction because there isn't any Earth left.
Yeah. What kind of people read science fiction? I know everybody read The Hitchhikers, but what kind of...
Hang on a sec, this might delve back into what we were talking about earlier. What kind of people read science fiction? But the point he made there, actually, yeah, he was always a comedy writer first, before he was a science fiction writer.
Well, I mean, honestly, you can hear that in a lot of his stories, especially when it cuts to bits from the Hitchhiker's Guide itself. Where, he's talking about the reasoning behind certain things and how it had to do with all of these scientists being envious, or, yes, a towel's extremely useful. What, you think I'm joking? Look at all the stuff it can do. That sort of weird stuff.
There's an interview on the complete Hitchhiker's Guide radio collection. There's an interview that you get with that, where he talks about other science fiction shows. And the impression you get from it is he doesn't like a lot of science fiction, does he?
Well, the thing too is
he mentions it. He hates the X-Files because the scientific answer is always proven wrong.
right.
He talks about how he'd obsess a bit over the logical intertwinings in things like Star Trek, which is how he came up with the Babel fish. Why is it all the alien races in the galaxy speak English? Yeah.
Yep. Which I thought was probably the most brilliant thing I ever took from that book, was it's like, no, we're not all speaking the same languages. We've got a fish that's translating stuff almost immediately, which I thought was really funny. Because all of the aliens, or most of the aliens that they do encounter, in the movie anyway, all have British accents. But they don't really. It's just what the Babelfish is telling Dent, and obviously we're seeing the story through his perspective.
Yeah. Duck Dog, interestingly, the bowl of petunias thought, oh no, not again. And obviously, Duck Dog, you've read the third book, haven't you? So you know why that is now. Spoilers, it's because Arthur keeps killing the bowl of petunias.
I will say also, a lot of science fiction shows that I've watched anyway, there's this almost air of pretentiousness. It's like, we're so smart. Just do what we say. Just accept everything. Don't ask questions. Just push this button. And
that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of science fiction does take itself way too seriously.
It does. I got so annoyed with Star Trek, especially because it became
being the worst.
All of them standing around just quoting literature. And I'm like, are you serious? Just fly the damn ship. Go do something.
Have a laser battle.
Which is why I'm sorry to say I'm a bigger fan of Star Wars. I haven't seen any of the new stuff, so don't at me. But yeah, I'm more of a Star Wars fan because they're more direct. They're not standing around, quoting shit. I mean, unless they're Jedi and, they have to do the thing. Be, monastic and all that stuff. But yeah.
But that's it. As sort of po-faced as George Lucas could be at times about Star Trek, he didn't take it all too seriously either.
Well, no, and you can tell that he was having fun. Whereas, again, it's like so much science fiction to me is just dry and dull, and it just...
I've got to
Why
admit...
are we here again?
Yeah, I've got to admit, Karma, and you're gonna fucking hate me for this. You're going to fucking
Oh,
hate me
dear.
for this, but I did get that impression with Dune a bit.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, Dune is... there's a
I-
lot going on in there.
As we've, we've spoken about, well, because we watched the film. We watched
Yeah,
the film
well-
together. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
there is
something
the sense
also-
that it is a bit overly serious at points.
Yeah. Well, Paul's not an ordinary kid. He never had much of a childhood. All of his friends are his adult teachers. You know, he never really got to be a kid, so that's part of it too. And it's very heavy. You know, there's so much going on, and that's why I always say you got to read the book to really know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, Gurney Halleck is probably it's not really comic relief, but he's more of the light of heart in the group. You know, he sings, he plays instruments, and he kind of brings everybody back, you know? But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It was a bit, wow, this is serious. And this is a film in which a giant worm comes out of the desert, guys.
Hey, those worms are very, very important.
But again,
So-
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy that film, and I'm glad I've seen it, and I will happily sit and watch the sequel when it eventually comes out. So, all right, we'll get back to this.
Don't be born royal. You'll spend your whole entire life watching your back for a knife. just don't do it. Not in this universe,
That's
anyway.
just life advice in general. That's just life advice in general, to be fair. Don't be born royal. I mean, look at Diana. Well, she
Such a
wasn't born a
drag.
royal, was she? She wasn't born royal.
Don't marry royal either.
Yeah.
It's just a title.
Read science fiction.
A pretty wide cross section. People never like to admit it, actually. Whenever I do book signing sessions, you always get people come along, sort of men come along and say, "Would you sign this, please? It's for my little boy." And then you get little boys come along and would say, "Would you sign this, please? It's for my father." So you get the widest possible cross
Yes, I
section.
usually grannies. I always get it for somebody's granny. Now, where did you get the idea for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Lying drunk in a field in Innsbruck.
That's the place.
It is. Yes, I keep on trying to.
Now, yeah, this is a story that he's both contradicted and outright denied in the past as well. About how he came up with the idea, lying drunk in a field. I'm certain of this. I've read or seen another interview where he admits that I don't know why I said that. That's probably not true.
Probably not true. Well, you know what? It's one of those things. If he doesn't want to talk about how he came up with the story, it's his right to not
Yeah.
say anything.
Who was it again? I'm trying to think now because I don't know why I started down this road because I've now completely forgotten what the response was. But I know that there was a writer who was asked, "Where do you get your ideas for?" And he gives a really, really fucking stupid response, and that's all he ever gave in interviews to that question because he got asked that question so often. He just developed a very quick, short, glib, obviously bollocks answer.
Sometimes you can't answer that question. Ideas just come sometimes, and then people want to know, where'd you come up with that idea? It's, I don't know.
It was something along the lines of, where'd you get your ideas for your stories? The toilet. You know.
Which, you know what? Okay, that's probably true. Because, hang on. When you're doing something completely mundane and your mind is going elsewhere, yeah, it's very likely you'll come up with some crazy ideas, and then, hey, you should probably write that down.
True. So I'm probably stifling my creativity by designating toilet time as TikTok time.
So you know what you should do, Pete? Put on some ambiance that doesn't have any music on it, and then just stare at a wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. You'll get so many brilliant ideas.
I'll just stop taking my phone to the toilet with me.
Dopamine fasting is very good for you, yes.
Yes. Anyway. So I'm going to say, sorry, I wanted to respond to something. Question, which 80s band had their name partly from Hitchhikers? It was Level 42. Incredible. I've just spotted that. And then Jim's Tom Baker, the Doctor. Yes, he's not my favourite Doctor, but he is probably, when somebody says Doctor Who, the first face that comes to mind is Tom Baker.
Probably. Because when I first heard, of Doctor Who, I don't really watch it. That's the image I had. The guy with the scarf. Right, okay.
But yeah, and the first time I saw Tom Baker, it's when he played Professor Plum on ITV's Cluedo. I remember that show. I remember that show as well. Steve Coogan was in that as well, wasn't he? Very early Steve Coogan, before pre-Alan Partridge, I think.
The only Clue I've ever seen is the one with Tim Curry. There is no other
yeah.
Clue. There is no other Clue.
over here in the early 90s, we had a game show based around Cluedo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where the contestants had to sit and watch this murder mystery unfold on like a video screen, and they'd pause it occasionally, and the contestants would have to discuss, what they'd just seen and try and solve the mystery themselves.
Ew.
But yeah, that was the thing. But yeah, very, very young Steve Coogan in that as well. I'm gonna say. Give me 2 seconds. Right. Steve Coogan, another bit of a hero of mine, Coogan. Not least of all because he's a fellow Manchester lad.
Not at all.
No.
See? Even people from Manchester can get on TV.
Find the field again.
Get drunk and get a new idea. Yeah, but I mean, it didn't come into fruition immediately, did it?
No. In fact, all I thought of at that point was the title. This was many, many years ago, but even before I went up to university. And I was lying drunk, and the sort of stars were sort of swirling around my head. And I had a copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to Europe. And it occurred to me that somebody ought to write a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as well. It didn't even occur to me it was going to be me who would do it. It just seemed like a good idea that somebody should do. And it was only after I'd started writing what became Hitchhiker, which was originally going to be a series of different programs called The Ends of the Earth, in which the Earth ended for a completely different reason in each program. And then, whilst I was writing...
I've just remembered I've got the pilot for this. That was also in that massive archive that I was very graciously given access to. Yeah, I've got the pilot for it, and I was going to... Right, remember a few months ago I did that video, The Private Life of Genghis Khan, which was a short story Douglas Adams wrote for a comic relief book. Mm-hmm. I was going to edit part of that pilot onto the end because it's an extemporized story based around a sketch he wrote for that show. There's a whole comedy sketch where it's the two key scenes of the story, where he barges into the village. Genghis Khan barges into the village, and the woman thinks he's there to rape and pillage her, but really he just wants to give him the wife experience, if you like. Ask him how his day was, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that was a sketch from that, and that also, it was co-written with Graham I think he's about to mention this, but it was co-written by Graham Chapman from Monty Python. Because again, weird thing, weird thing about Douglas is he often ended up befriending his heroes. He lauds Monty Python as like a huge influence on his comedy, and claims, you know, they were big heroes of his. He ended up writing for Monty Python.
So I guess the opposite was true as well.
Yeah, he wrote a sketch for the 4th series of Monty Python. And the same happens with Pink Floyd. He was a massive fan of Pink Floyd and then ended up becoming really good friends with David Gilmour. There's just something about the guy. Clearly, there's just something about the guy. He gets to meet his heroes and doesn't get disappointed by them.
Che, good on him.
Alright, I'm going to hit play again.
That the idea of the guide surfaced again in the back of my mind, and that gradually took over and formed the whole thing.
Is it a danger when you're writing about sci-fi like that, the technology will overtake you?
Well, I get very overtaken by technology myself. I mean, part of what I'm writing against is myself, because I am a most terrible gadget freak. I mean, I have a house full of the most bizarre gadgets, and part of what I'm doing is, in fact, making fun of myself for that. So, I mean, I'm not particularly worried about whether, you know, something you invent is actually going to happen or whatever. I mean, it's I'm making fun of the people who are then going to use it.
Yeah, and while you were writing this, because you were also writing, or while you were writing Hitchhikers, you were writing Doctor Who as well.
Right.
I mean, technology overtook Doctor Who, didn't it?
Well, there's a very interesting thing. Now, I started watching Doctor Who, you know, when I was 11, but I'd never ever seen the first episode, which went out on the day that Kennedy was assassinated. And then whilst I was working on Doctor Who as script editor...
It did, actually. So much so they had to rebroadcast it. They had to rebroadcast the first ever episode of Doctor Who the day before the next one was due to go out.
Oof.
I think that's right. Now that I've said it, that seems like bullshit, but... yeah, now that I've said it, I feel like that might be bullshit, but... yeah. I know there was some issue... I know it caused some issue and they had to repeat the episode. But I don't know whether it was as quick as, you know, less than a week later. Because back then, by the way, I know, given the way telly is now, in fact the way telly's been for the last 30 years, it's going to be hard to believe this, but there weren't many repeats back in the early 60s. Well, there wasn't much to repeat.
I mean, I thought a lot of these TV shows only had 1 week to film anyway. So, I mean, to have it repeated, I guess wasn't too bad, but I guess at the time also unheard of.
Elwyn, it's unfortunate I didn't think to put Hitchhiker's Guide in the travel section when I worked at the bookstore. Hey! Also, hello, Elwyn!
Hi, Elwyn.
How's it going? How are you?
Back in 2 minutes.
No worries. I was just about to say, I'm doing that thing again where I say something, I ask something to chat, and then just sit and wait for a response. I will learn one of these days that that's pointless because of the delay. But... so, yeah. Elwyn, welcome to the Pubstream at the End of the Universe. It's a special edition of the Pubstream for today, Towel Day. We've been discussing Douglas Adams and his various other works. We're watching an interview with him. In short, we're having a hoopy time. Elwyn's eating a sandwich. Ooh. Just let me check something. Let me... yeah, if you feel... if if you want to pop in, Elwin, and you want to talk about any of this stuff with us, feel free. I was just checking you have the right. Yep, you do have the right permissions. Just realised you're in the super duper secret club. This was a role I created on my Discord for just one thing. And that was years ago. For just one night, I created a special role just because we wanted to create a VC that nobody could see for a bit. And just people have kept it. But yeah, so once again, after this stream, if you haven't seen it already, I did put out another narration video today, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the 1994 trading card set. So that's available to watch. I am working on by now it's a sort of compilation of all the Douglas Adams related stuff that I've done. But it's mostly, with the amount of stuff I wanted to add into it, it's now weighted towards new stuff. There's going to be more new stuff in there than there is the compilation of old stuff.
Which I guess is a good problem to have, really, when you think about it.
You know, it's new content.
It's
new content
fresh.
At the end of the day, yeah.
So fresh.
Fresh content peppered with old content. It's like it started off because like when I did the Doctor Who one at the start of this year, I wanted to not just make it, you know, a video where it's just a collection of videos off the channel that people have already seen before. So I wanted to throw something new in there. That's why I did the reading of Russell T Davies's Doctor Who and the Time War, which was just a little excerpt. It was just a little supposed excerpt he wrote of a story, how he saw the 8th Doctor regenerating into the War Doctor. The truth is, quite obviously, you know, Russell T Davies didn't have the idea for the War Doctor, so he wouldn't have thought of that anyway. So it was a silly thing, and I think it was written largely tongue in cheek. So I recorded that and then threw it in as well. And then for the Douglas Adams, I thought I want to do something like that as well. And then the stuff I've recorded for it, I looked at like how much stuff there is. I'm like, oh, this is going to be mostly new stuff now.
Oops.
It's going to be about an hour and a half video, hour and 40 odd minute video. And I think the old stuff takes up about 45 minutes of it.
Wow.
Incredible Threat just had a message. Will you do a video on... I've seen what's been going on with that. It just seems ridiculous to me. Just seems... I think... Just to break away from the subject of the stream for a second, I think Ethan Ralph is a ridiculous human being in general. And Cog flying over to Lisbon was just... Okay. Whatever thing to do. Whatever, Cog. Okay. You're going to fly over to Lisbon. Cool. And then the fight that broke out. Really? This is dumb now. It's all dumb and all a bit stupid. But anyway, back to this topic at hand.
Happy Towel Day. Get a towel.
All right, I'll just hit play on this again.
I got to see the first episode for the first time. Now, when I knew I was going to watch it, I thought, well, you know, of course we've moved on a lot since then, haven't we? You know, and I was feeling a little bit grand and thinking, well, you know, one will watch it with a certain amount of indulgence. And I sat and watched it, and it was much better. It was very, very good, the first couple of episodes. It really was excellent. And I think part of what went wrong with it was colour. Because, you know the sort of lighting you get on in BBC studios, which make everything look very, very brightly coloured. Now, watching the first episode, and then sort of go back to the cavemen and everything, and you actually believed these were cavemen sort of huddling in the dark shadows, and that was very, very dramatic, and I think we lost some of that later on.
Well, about the galaxy, all sorts of spin-offs, the radio, the TV, the records. There was going to be a film as well, wasn't there? What happened to that?
Well, this is a very good question, and one I ask from time to time. I went over and spent 6 months in Hollywood in 1983. And because you hear of all the sort of things that happen to people who go to Hollywood, you think because you know about them, they won't happen to you. And you go and you sit there, and day after day goes by, and everything that happens to people that go to Hollywood happens to you. And I got very, very miserable there. I mean, there are two things you basically miss if you're English, living in Hollywood. One is irony, and the other is oxygen. And, you know, you need both of them. And I eventually sort of gave up. And myself and the producer, we could never quite agree about how it was going to go. And every time I rewrote it, it got worse from both our points of view.
And were you surprised that...
I've actually read one of the very early drafts from about this period of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising. By which I mean the quality of it is surprising.
Oh.
It's not great. It really isn't.
Okay. Can't all be brilliant.
Reminds me of Victor Lewis Smith. Once Doctor Who was in colour, the Daleks weren't threatening. In fact, they were the gay Daleks. Well, okay, yeah. I'm under the impression Robbed by Hookers is part of Hollywood. Yeah, I think yeah. I've never been to Hollywood. I've never been to America, but I'm under the same impression. You get robbed by hookers in Hollywood. Well, maybe not Hollywood. Las Vegas. I'm taking my entire knowledge of
Probably
Las Vegas
more
as being from CSI and Fallout New Vegas now.
Vegas is a little bit more family friendly these days. So yeah, you're probably more likely to get robbed by hookers in LA these days. Just figured I would put that out there.
I used to get robbed by front row. Oh, jeez. Bloody hell, credible threat. You and your rugby. You really are Welsh, aren't you?
thing was such a success. The books were such an enormous success in America.
Yes. Well, I think if I wasn't, I would have to be mad not to be surprised. I suppose I was particularly surprised it happened in America. It's funny because various friends of mine now, Rowan Atkinson is just going over to start Broadway. And Stephen Fry is a friend of mine who's been on the show in your absence, who wrote the new book of Me and My Girl is over there. And I up till now, I felt America was mine, you know, and all my friends and I are going
All these rats are taking over.
Yes,
yeah.
right.
You got fed up. You used to do a lot of travelling back and forward across the Atlantic. You got fed up with the flying.
Absolutely. Yes, I was really commuting backwards and forwards until it got to the point, and I was really getting terribly, terribly tired the whole time. And I then went by QE2, and I thought that'd be a nice change, but I was so sick the whole way over. So I've now got this idea, which I'd like to do one day, of going by train to New York. Now, this is obviously a silly route, because there isn't an Atlantic tunnel. We haven't even got a Channel tunnel yet, but there isn't an Atlantic tunnel. So what I want to do is go...
Hold on a second. When? Oh, because I'm still trying to date when this interview is from. So it was after he started working on the film, and it was after he'd started doing other drafts of it. So this is mid-80s. When was the Channel tunnel finished? Oh, right. I'm going to look this up quickly.
'94?
Wow. Okay.
Sorry, I took a quick look at that. Oh, sorry. Apparently it started in 88 and finished in 94.
So, right, all right. That puts this interview very late 80s then. Yeah. Credible just confirms. 1994 was when the Channel Tunnel was finished. And yeah, he started work on the film in 1983.
Wow.
It didn't come out until 2005. And he died in 2001. There is quite a famous quote from him about the production of the film. He said, "Trying to get the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy film is like trying to cook a steak by having a succession of people come into a room and breathe on it." Which, yeah, given 20 years it took to make that film, then.
Jeez.
Yeah. What is it you said, Elwyn? Hahuchich. I can't read or speak Welsh. I know Yakidar, that's about it.
What does that mean?
Yakidar, it's a greeting. It's like, you know, hello. One of the funniest. I'm not even trying that one, Credible, but I'm going to hit play again. I'm not even trying.
Overland, by rail wherever possible, but overland strictly all the way around, which means walking across the Bering Straits. Now, you tend to forget when you look at a map of the world, and you see America over that side and Russia over that side, that they actually meet the other end. And there's only 30 kilometers distance between them. Yeah. I've been saying this long enough that I want to go and do this silly journey. And I think if I actually announce it formally on television, I now have to do it.
Yes, you have. But I mean, if it was that easy, there'd be millions of Russians have made the journey already, wouldn't there?
Well, of course, it's thought that's how the original inhabitants of America arrived there, by walking across the Bering Straits in the winter.
Well, I hope you do it. But you're about to go off on another series of a kind of wildlife expedition. Now, I've seen the prospectus for this.
Right.
And I don't...
Ah, right, okay, yeah. All right, Karma, this is... I think there's literally about a minute and a bit left of this. But yeah, this is... He's about to talk about that Last Chance to See, which I think is something that you would quite enjoy. Knowing you as I do, you know, lover of animals.
All right,
Not
I
like
am
that,
going to look
guys.
this up.
Not like that,
Hang
guys.
on. What was the title?
Last Chance to See.
Last Chance to See. Aha! Added to cart.
Hey.
Thank you, Amazon.
All right, I'll play the end of this now.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that there's anything called an aye-aye.
Oh, the I've been to see, and this is actually what sparked off this whole series of expeditions. About 18 months ago, for the Observer in the World Wildlife Fund, I was sent to Madagascar to look for this creature, the aye-aye, which is the rarest of the lemurs, and is actually one of the rarest animals in the world. Estimates vary from 12 to maybe a few hundred. And very, very, very few people in the world have actually seen one of these creatures, which is a little sort of, it's like a large cat with ears like a bat and sort of beaver's teeth. And this strange sort of, it looks just sort of past you as if there's something terribly interesting happening in another world over your shoulder. And I'm one of the very, very few people in the world who's actually seen one, because they're nocturnal, they live in the rainforest at night, and it always does rain in the rainforest. And
Are you sure
We
that
did
you're
find
not
it.
making all this up?
No, it's absolutely true.
It's
We got a
another example
photograph.
of
We got a
science fiction.
photograph. We got a photograph.
Well, I hope you find them. The kakapo.
The kakapo, which is a flightless parrot.
Yes.
Um,
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You don't convince me. But I wish you success and find them. Douglas Adams.
Thank you very much.
Well, there we go. There we go. Two legends in one little piece of footage there. Douglas Adams and the late Douglas Adams and the late Terry Wogan.
And the eye, by the way, they are so ugly and hideous and scary. They're actually adorable.
I know.
If you guys have,
I've seen pictures of them. Yeah, they are quite cute. Ugly cute, though.
yes, like a pug, kind of cute.
Yeah.
They're so ugly that, they're so cute. Yes. That was an interesting interview.
It was. It looks right from. Right, I'll get a picture of an eye up on stream for everyone. But from what I remember,
Happy Towel Day. Happy Towel Day. Here's a picture of an eye. Anyway, yes, sorry.
Their eyes look like you've sliced like a lemon or an orange directly down the center.
How?
They do. Oh, maybe I was thinking of a different animal, but
Maybe. Yeah, a lot of these eye were usually wiped out by the locals because they were afraid of them. You know, they're creepy looking. They go around tapping on branches looking for bugs with specialized fingers. So, you know they were around when you heard.
All right, give me 2 seconds. I will pull this picture up for everyone. Oh. There we were then, when you need to call someone a twat without calling them a twat. Yes. Here we go. There you go. There's an eye. Look at that. These species are Nazis, though, because pugs are. Well, you know.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of conservation efforts too for the eyes. They're doing okay, I think. So, and that might have something to do with Douglas Adams' influence.
Well,
So-
I hope so.
Yay!
I hope so. That's, you know, in spite of, you know, his literary achievements and his contributions to culture, that'd be quite a nice legacy to leave behind.
I mean, even the fact too that he brings up dolphins in his stories as well. I guess he loves dolphins, and the fact that is it Trisha? I always want to
Trillian.
call her Trillian,
Yeah.
even though that's not her. That's her space name.
Yeah.
Wanted so badly to go to Madagascar, and it's like, well, now I kind of understand why, because Douglas Adams clearly loved it. Fell in love with this beautiful eye. So I get it now. I get that Madagascar thing. It's like, that's very specific, you know?
Well, that from someone in the chat will correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think that whole Madagascar thing just might have been a extemporization for the film.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but it is quite a nice detail. It is quite a nice detail, and the fact that you've taken it that way, that makes sense. That does make sense.
Yeah.
There's so much that people slag off or denigrate the film for that you think, no, hang on a sec, it does actually make sense in context. Like, but people say the fact that the romance between Arthur and Trillian kind of works at the end of the film, where it never does in the books.
No.
Spoiler, they end up having a kid in the books, but it's not through romance. It's through Trillian wanting a kid and going to galactic sperm banks and sort of ignoring the fact that the only other donor in the galaxy is Arthur.
Yep. The only other human being.
Yeah. but I see it like this, right? I see the differences between all the versions of the Hitchhiker's Guide like this. It gets adapted and altered and changed to fit whatever medium people want to bring out. So, yes, the movie, the Disney produced movie, is going to be very Disney-fied and very sort of sanitized, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you keep that in mind, with that in mind, though, it's still a great film. It is a great Disney Hitchhiker's film.
Yeah.
All right, it's not right.
It's not perfect.
By the
I don't
same
think
logic,
any
you could call
adaptation-
Pulp Fiction a Disney film. But what I'm saying is, Buena
Wow,
Vista.
Disney, wow.
I mean Buena Vista, who was the parent company at the time. I'm talking about Pulp Fiction again, sorry. But yeah, for Buena Vista was the parent company of Miramax, or the distributor of the films for Miramax, and Miramax made Pulp Fiction. So by that same logic,
Disney owns Pulp Fiction.
yeah,
Oh my god.
but by that logic, Pulp Fiction is a Disney film. But Hitchhiker's Guide was made by, kind of like you get with game development, you get developers and publishers. So the people who made the Hitchhiker's film, which is a company called Hammer and Tongs, right? They went out. They were the artists behind it. They made it, and Disney distributed it. But that's the same logic. That's the same logic that it makes Hitchhiker's a Disney film. It makes Pulp Fiction a Disney. Technically, Die Hard with a Vengeance is a Disney film then as well. You can't hate on Marvin. He was phenomenal. Again, the same thing. His redesign. Well, not his redesign, because this is one of the things that I wanted to say to Batman yesterday, because Marvin came up in conversation in VC yesterday. Batman said Marvin was always supposed to be tall. And it's like, no character was supposed to be anything, really. It would depend on how far back in the versions you want to go. No character in Hitchhikers was supposed to have a particular look, if you like. Because it was devised as a radio series. The only times that physical attributes are brought up are like Zaphod having 2 heads and 3 arms.
Right, it's something extreme or related to the character in a way that's going to affect them eventually. Where it's like Arthur Dent, I mean, literally anybody could play Arthur Dent.
Yeah,
he's the everyman.
It's not until the book that it's mentioned that Trillian is supposed to be almost, quote, because I might get this wrong, but almost, quote, vaguely Asian looking.
Vaguely Asian looking.
And that Ford is supposed to be ginger,
Alan Rickman was a great
Yeah.
Marvin. He had the voice for it, for sure.
His voice fit it perfectly. It's the design of the robot itself. It's fine for a Disney film. Yeah.
I think that was brought up too, how Marvin was supposed to be very tall.
Well, oh, sorry, I just hit me pop filter. That's what I was saying. Marvin's never properly described. Not even in the book. I think I think where Batman was getting that idea from was the Marvin from the TV series, who was quite a tall robot.
Yeah, but
I think
he's really not
the
described
Marvin
either.
Suit was about 6'5" in the TV version.
Okay, that's a big robot.
And
It's a big depressed robot.
In the film, he's a small one with
A huge head.
Yeah, I think you can see the reason for that, though. You can see the reason for that, because Marvin's supposed to have the brain the size of a planet. How do you convey that someone has the brain the size of a planet? You make it oversized and almost spherical.
I never said it was a large planet.
Martin Freeman did make... Again, yeah, the film was really good and really well made. It's not my favourite version of Hitchhikers, because I don't think the story and everything else around it lends well to being filmed. The TV version of it, I'm not a massive fan of. In a kind of weird, twisted way, I put the film over the TV series. I just think it's a bit better produced and it looks a bit better. But neither of them are my favourite.
I think that's also something that's really hard to adapt.
Yeah.
It's just one of those stories where
It's
it's like everybody has their own ideas, you know?
It's a very wordy, verbal thing, isn't it?
It is. Although I do like the cutaways they did for when they were referencing the guide.
Yes.
Those
yes.
little
The
animated bits.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
I'm wondering too if there's going to be another adaptation in the near future, just because everything's being rebooted and redone.
Right. Okay. Hulu are supposed to be doing a Hulu are supposed to be doing a TV series of it. In fact, they are doing it. I don't know why I say supposed to. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's I dread to think what they'll do with it. It's going to be a bit crap." And ultimately, because so little is known about it, because so little is known about what's going on with it, I'm still in the we'll wait and see.
I mean, stuff can always change. Nothing is officially decided, right? So
Hello, Cryptic.
that's the thing. Hey, Cryptic. But yeah, that's the thing with a lot of television shows and even movie scripts is nothing is set in stone, really, ever. If they want to change something, they do have the power and ability, and as long as they have the permission, they can change it. So,
Yeah.
although I don't really have much faith in anything entertainment-wise these days, so I'm out.
Oh no, here we go again. What a disappointment. Sorry, I've just looked back up at my main screen. I've just realised I've had that picture of the eye up this whole time.
As you should. It's beautiful. Beautiful in its hideousness.
It's cute.
And Douglas Adams loved him, damn it.
I know. Right, hang on. Let's just go back to the... No, I just locked that. Right, there we go. I just clicked lock, so I couldn't move it around.
Locked the eye.
But yeah. There's... Alright, here's one. Here's one. For those... If you... In the chat, if you've seen this, what did everyone think of the Netflix Dirk Gently series? With Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. Oh my god! I remember this. I didn't see it, but I'm thinking Elijah Wood is Dirk?
No, not as Dirk. It was Samuel Barnett, who's a English actor.
Oh, good.
He played Dirk. Do you know what? Right, I enjoyed the series. I enjoyed the series, and I enjoyed it when I watched it. But I cannot, for the life of me, tell you anything about who Elijah Wood's character was, apart from the fact he was a musician. Yeah.
All right, I am going to IMDb.
He was a musician who only... sorry, I was reading Elwyn's statement. There is only Frodo. He was a musician who was working as a hotel porter and witnesses the aftermath of a murder that Dirk is investigating.
Well, it's got an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, like I say, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was quite good. And I remember being really excited when season 2 started and came out, and then being a bit confused and disappointed by it because I thought, what have you done? What have you done to this?
Oh, damn! Elijah Wood's only 5'5". Huh.
Hence why he's the perfect height to play a hobbit, I guess.
Oh, I was just surprised. I knew he was short. I didn't know he was that short. I say that as being 5'3", so yeah.
Oh, tiny Karma.
Ugh.
Tiny Karma.
All right, let me see if I can find anything here.
What I'll do, at mild copyright risk, I will see if I can find, just for the stream, I'll see if I can find a trailer for it.
Oh, they changed this website. They made it so much more difficult to navigate. Why'd you do this?
Oh, Elwyn's 5'3" as well. Elwyn's a tiny Elwyn as well. Here we go. Hang on. Oh, I can just link it. Right. Because I mostly stream video games, guys, I sometimes forget how to show things on stream. How to show windows and that on stream. Yeah, look at that. I'll fuck that up. Here we go. So yeah, this is the trailer for the Netflix series. American-made Netflix series. I think it was co-created by Sam Landis, the son of Max Landis, who directed like Blues Brothers. And of course, Sam Landis has had his own problematic-ish past. We won't go into that.
Shh, it's okay.
Because, you know, I don't do all that here. Here we go.
You seem stressed out. Is everything okay over there?
You're going to die! Let her go!
Everything's fine. I was wondering if I could get my check a little early this month?
No. Also, you're fired. Hi! Who are you? What is this?
I'm a detective. A holistic detective. And before you ask, no, I'm not with the CIA anymore.
What is going on?
The universe will make you a part of this, whether you are complicit or not. You are now a vital part of the investigation.
How do you even even investigate anything if you don't use any investigative stuff.
Interconnectedness, coincidence, and the rarer, sexier coinkidinks.
Have you ever actually solved a case?
Sure, tons. Well, some.
Everything is connected. Nothing is also connected.
Well, there you go. I believe that's still on Netflix. But yeah, it was good. The first season of it was quite, well, I would describe it as excellent. The first season of it was excellent. Second season, it was just, what are you doing? This is a bit,
A little nuts.
yeah. This is getting a bit silly. But one of the things I did like about the about that series was the government forces who were after Dirk, because that's a plot element. Were fucking stupid as hell. They were useless as hell. Like you saw it in the trailer. The guy holding the gun screaming, "What's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
He was the main muscle behind the task force who were after Dirk, and he was thick as pig shit, basically.
See, that's something else. Well, that's something else I noticed too in a lot of Douglas Adams' works, was his sort of lack of faith in authority figures, you could say.
Oh. Well, yeah, you've got the cops in Hitchhikers who are just screaming liberals.
Yeah. Then the whole thing about how you can't be a
words.
Politician with a full brain, you have to have
Well,
half,
yeah.
which is why Zaphod has two heads.
Yeah. And the other thing he says about politicians and anybody who should get themselves elected into any form of power is probably the person least suited to the role.
Probably. Yeah, that goes into his other works, yes.
Yeah, it bleeds. I mean, that series, it's not an adaptation. It's not an adaptation of it. It uses elements and it uses... Yeah, it uses elements from the books and it uses concepts from the books, but such as... And this does slightly spoil the Netflix series, but time travel ends up being involved quite a lot.
Hmm.
But not in the way you think. Douglas Adams was the prophet. Also, hello, Kevin. How's it going? I've always said I've always said if my nephews decide to go into political studies, I will pay for their therapy. Oh dear. But yeah, like I said, the first series was really, really fucking good, and I was massively excited for the second. And then when the second came out, I was like, oh, okay, I'll keep going.
Well, that's kind of the same reaction that I had to the second book, was just like, right, back to this another time, and I never did.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. The thing about the second book in Hitchhikers is, it's kind of weird the way it works, because the first book only covers the first 4 episodes of the radio series. The last 2 episodes of the first radio series are the end of the second book.
I see.
When they get to the restaurant at the end of the universe, and then what happens after that. And the first half of the second book is actually the start it is actually the second series of the radio series.
Okay.
So the way the story was originally written as the radio series, it does take you to the end of the second book, but via the second series.
Right. Gotcha. I'm gonna drop. I'm
All
hungry.
right, no worries. I'm looking at the time. I'm probably going to go for about another 15 minutes, maybe.
All right, I'll lurk.
All right.
Bye,
Clara.
chat.
Hey, thanks for
Yeah.
joining me, Karma. So, yeah. So we've discussed a fair amount of Douglasy things tonight. And with that in mind, I'm going to... Oh, no, I can't find it now. No. Have you seen RPM? We'll slink back into just normal Pubstream banter for the last 15 minutes. God, my phone. What the hell? Sorry, my phone just... Alright, I see. No worries. My phone just... About 5 notifications all at once. Seriously, we can't have nice things needs to be reincorporated. Aww. We can have nice things. We can have nice things. Incidentally, if you want to pay for nice things for me, that is streamlabs.com/mank. No, I'm joking, obviously. Hipster, yeah, he's a joke. True dot R, right? Oh, true dot, right. Please take us back. No, sorry, Alwyn. Sorry, Alwyn, but Canada is forsaken. You're on your own. I decree it. And I've just thought it's probably a better idea to sort of end here rather than just freewheel for the last 15 minutes. So with that, I am going to say thank you for joining me on this, guys. Thank you for turning up to... I'm working on my dual system. I'm entitled to it. Are you, Elwyn? Are you? Cool. Adopt Elwyn. Elwyn, you can come live with me. You can come live with me. I've got a little cage in the corner of my room. You can stay in there if you like. By the sound of it as well, you could even stand up in it. Anyway, so yes, I am going to end here, guys. Thanks for watching. All of the fish. Yes. Thanks for watching. I'll be back over on Twitch tomorrow. Not entirely certain what I'll be doing yet. Might be... I did a Prophet Zark one. You did. You did. And you saved the stream, Kevin. You did. But either way, I'll be back on Twitch tomorrow. That'll be... what will Cringy say? Well, credible. I'm sure she wouldn't... I'm sure Charlie wouldn't mind having a little Elwyn in the corner. She'll be fine. But yeah, I'll be back over on Twitch. I'll be probably doing another stream here on YouTube over the weekend. yeah, that's it. You know, just occasionally we'll let Elwyn out of the... Elwyn out of the cage. She can come up. She can curl up in my lap. I'll stroke her hair. It'll be fine. Don't know whether on Twitch I want to continue with Oblivion or Fallout Taylor 2 Wastelands yet. We'll just see. But one thing that is definitely happening is Sunday night over on Twitch. we're going to finish off The Walking Dead Season 2. The game, obviously. Obviously. We're going to finish that off. Part 1 is already available over on my sister channel. Mank Pete Plays, which you can find a link to on the main channel for this. Parts 2 and 3 will be released on Sunday before I do part 4 and 5. But apart from that, thanks for watching, everyone. Peace out. Peace off. Stay hoopy. Oh, do you know what? Actually, let's give this a let's give this a bit of a big ending. Let's see if I can find something to play for the end. I've got an archive of silly stuff. I'll see if I can find something decently Hitchhikers or Douglas Adams related. No, that's right. Alright, to end the stream then. I need to load up Soundpad to do this properly. To end the stream, I'm going to play the full version of the cricket song from the 3rd series of the radio show. I've got all 4 of the Marvin songs, Kevin Strider. Alright, I'll tell you what then. We'll do a little bit of a medley then. Just let me load that in before I forget where it is. Oh, that's it. Right, okay. So that was taken from one of the live versions of the radio show. Right. I'm sure that's on the DVD as well. And I'll play one of the Marvin songs. I haven't got So Long and Thanks for All the Fish as audio, Elwyn. I'd have to find it on YouTube. And with it being a film, and with it being, as we were joking about before, Disney related, I'm not really in the mood for dealing with copyright shit. I mean, this channel plays fast and loose with copyright as it is, so. Alright, let's see. Alright, we'll do it like this. I'll just sing it to myself. Aww. Copyright everything. Here we go. So, I'll start with... This is the cricket song from the tertiary phase, or Life, the adaptation of Life, the Universe and Everything. Live from one of the tours we did, which we get around to talking about.
Our lovely world, so lovely, and everything so nice, and everyone so happy beneath the ink black skies. She's the only one for me. I'm under spell. It's so much fun working on the farm. It fills my heart and soul.
So yeah, that was obviously that was the cricket song from the live. Like I say, we didn't get a chance to talk about it in detail, but 4 people in the room dancing to this right now, amazing. I'm loving that. What I'm going to do, because I'm looking at the time and looking at how long the stream's been active, I'm going to push this up to 2 hours. So you get another 6.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes of which will be the Marvin song. But yeah, that was from the live tour they did of the radio show back in like the mid-2010s. Not mid. So it was about early 2010s. Which I remember I had fucking tickets to see one of the shows in Manchester. I think it was Danny John Jules was going to be the voice of the book as well. But I ended up not being able to go, unfortunately. I didn't end up going, but I bought the tickets. Oh. I have since heard a bootleg of that particular night, that particular show, so it kind of feels like I was there anyway. Again, thank you to the Hitchhikers Discord. But yeah, so to fully round out the show and take us up to the 2-hour mark for the stream, not necessarily for real time because it's what, 5 past now, isn't it? I know, right? Terrible. We're going to play Reasons to be Miserable. Now, this was the second. I think this was the lead for this second of the 2 singles that Stephen Moore recorded with. I can't remember the guy's name now. I do apologise. Fellas. But it was the lead for the second of the double B-sides of songs sung by Marvin the Paranoid Android. So this is where I'm going to lead you off. Here you go. Reasons to be Miserable. This was also re-recorded by Stephen Fry for the soundtrack to the film. It's not in the film, but it's a bonus track on the soundtrack album.
Reasons to be miserable give my brain a pain. Very little turns me on. Marvin is my name. I'm a robot, it's my lot, a robot full of cares. I'd feel a little better if they broke me up the stairs. Everything I say or do I find the world condemning. If I had my time again I'd rather be a lemming. I'm just a menial robot. They drive me crazy with their Marvin, close the door. Well, isn't it enough to make you tidy up the floor? You know it spoiled the robot's day. Marvin, when you finish, you can put yourself away. I'm going to flip my lid. They treat me like a kid. Robot naughty, robot bad, robot happy, robot sad. Who's a clever robot lad? It would drive a human mad. Robots aren't inhuman. Robots aren't inhuman. Human robots are inhuman. Robots are in. I get no satisfaction. I'm bored. Combat is human when they make me do their work. I'd rather be a calculator. Treat me like a jerk. I'd ugly the day. Hit me on the head. I'd rather be a calculator. It'd be no trouble just to bubble right away.
Thanks for watching, guys, and I'm glad you had a great time, Kevin. Peace out, peace off, stay hoopy, and